Hey everybody, Chris the old ass retro gamer here. Today I'm going to do a response video. I was tagged by Jason of Corpse Flood Gaming, who is one of my fellow Midwest YouTube gamers panel mates, and the topic was 10 game series I haven't played and what I plan to do about it. And it got me thinking, like, what game series do I have in my collection that I've just never gotten around to playing? And I actually started going through like my entire collection, looking through everything and going, wow, you know, I have so many games in that series. Why have I not played those yet? So it was a good talking point on Jason's part. I commend him for it. It got me thinking about things I need to be playing in my collection.
Y'all just got me super hyped!
So where do I start? Because I found out there was a lot of stuff I haven't played. Well, I have a massive backlog, so of course that's something that's going to happen. So the first one I want to start with are the NES Advanced Dungeons Dragons games. There were 5 of them released: Pool of Radiance, Heroes of the Lance, Dragon Strike, Hillsfar, and Dragons of Flame. Out of all of those games, I only own one. I own Pool of Radiance. And I remember these games being really super popular on the home PCs back in the 80s. A lot of my friends had them for like their Commodore 64s or their Atari computers or whatnot. And I never did get around to purchasing the NES games back in the day either. And the only reason I own the one that I do have was because it came in a lot that I bought off of somebody on Facebook. And when I saw it sitting on my shelf while I was looking for the games that I hadn't played, I was like, you know what, I've always wanted to play all those D&D games. So some awesome NES action RPG radness. Sounds like a lot of fun to me. So now I just need to get off my butt and find the rest of the games in that series so I can play through them all. Next is something that might surprise you, but I own a lot of games in this series. I just never got around to playing them. The Assassin's Creed games. I played a little bit of the first one when it first came out, and I thought it was okay, but it didn't grab me enough to make me want to keep playing because I just ended up going off and playing something else instead. It's one of those games that I do want to go and play, and I know that I want to do it because I keep buying games in the series. I have so many now, I'm like, why am I not playing them? So that's something else. I hear good and bad things about the series. I hear that some of them are just buggy as all hell, some of them are just dumb, some of them are super fun. The 4th game sounds like a lot of fun. And there's also like a lot of side story things going on. The timeline confuses me. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've never gone back and played through them, is because I don't know where to go once I get past the numbered sequels. So it's gonna happen. I have a few more games I want to collect in the series that I need to finish everything off, and from that point on, I'll play through them. The next one is a game series that has had kind of a renaissance lately, and I've been into it since I started collecting back in 2013. I just have not gotten into the series as a whole, and that is the Yakuza games by Sega. I've had the first game in my library for the longest time. I played through about half of it, and I liked what I played. It's like if you were to take Shenmue and mix it with Final Fight in 3D, but it has these really long cutscenes in it that kind of ended up boring me a little bit, and I ended up going off to play something else instead and never came back. But now that like it's become this super popular thing because of Yakuza 0 and the recently released Part 6, I really need to go back and play through that entire series as a whole, starting with 0 and going all the way through 6. It's sad that Part 5 was only released digitally and not in a physical form, but if I really feel the need to play through that one, I might download it just because of completion's sake, but we'll see. But it just seems like a really interesting series that I really want to get into, and Jason talks about it a lot, so he's made me re-interested in it as well. The next is a long-running RPG series. I think I own maybe 3 games in the franchise right now, and there's probably like 15 or something like that. There are so many games in this series I lost count, so I kind of gave up on it, and I was like, well, if I find a game here and there for cheap, I might buy it. Eventually, I'll play through them, but at heart, I really just want to get them all and then play through them all in a row so that I can figure out if there's any like commonalities between them, if any characters cross over and whatnot. That's kind of a daunting task because a lot of the games in that series are really hard to come by and are really expensive, so I don't expect to be able to play through them all anytime soon unless I win the lottery or something, or I find a really good deal at a garage sale. This one is probably the most frustrating out of all my choices because of the price of a lot of the games in the series. Another one are the Gargoyles Quest games. I do own the Game Boy original, but I do not own Part 2 for the NES or Demon's Crest for the Super Nintendo because they're expensive. I was lucky to get Gargoyles Quest for the Game Boy complete in box as it is, That was just a very lucky coincidence. I've played through a good portion of it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I like what I've played, and it makes me want to go and get the rest of the games in the series so I can play through them all in a row. Again, like I win the lottery, or I find someone slipping on Craigslist or something. I don't see that happening anytime soon, but I would absolutely love to play through all 3 of those games. One that I have never really played through is something that is actually on Jason Corpse Flood Gaming's list as well, and that's the Grandia games. I own part 2 for the Dreamcast and part 3 for the PlayStation 2. I do not own the first one, and I'm not going to play through the sequels unless I have the originals, so I need to track down a copy of that so I can play through them. I hear they're phenomenal RPGs. Some are better than others. It's par of the course when it comes to a long-running series, but the Grandia games always sounded really interesting to me, and they get a lot of praise from people whose opinions I respect in the community, so I really want to play through them. I've wanted to play through them for a long time, but like I said, I have never found a copy of Part 1 anywhere in the wild, at the Midwest Gaming Classic, or anything like that, so I might just have to bite the bullet and try to get one off the web somewhere, unless someone's willing to offer me a deal. Another long-running series that I've never gotten into are the Bomberman games. Do not judge me. I've played a couple of them here and there. I own a couple of them in my collection, but I've never really had a chance to really play it. I mean, you can play them first player, and that's fine. I've tried them out first player to see if the games actually worked after I bought them, but they're meant to be played with a group of people as a party game. Usually everyone just wants to play like Halo or some other first-person shooter. No one ever says, you know what, those Bomberman games. That might be something I need to remedy the next time I have a get-together and just have everyone blow the crap out of everybody else. Because those games always looked like fun to me. Like I said, I've never had the opportunity to play them the way they should be played. Another series that I've never gotten into are the Mickey Mouse Illusion games. There's a couple on the Genesis, Castle of Illusion and World of Illusion, and there's a few Game Gear games which I did pick up at the Midwest Gaming Classic. That was Land of Illusion and Legend of Illusion. I think there's also like some Magical Quest games. Whatever, there's a lot of them, and I would love to play all of them. I've played Castle of Illusion and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fantastic platformer that on the surface looks like a little kid's game, but when you actually play it, it is really tough. And that made me want to get the rest of the games in the series, but I wanted to wait until I could have all of them in the collection before I play through them. And I'm getting pretty close. You might see some new ones in a pickup video coming up pretty soon. One that might surprise the hell out of you is that I've never really played any of the modern Final Fantasy games. Part 9 was the last one I really got into. Part 10 I tried to get into, couldn't do it. I played a lot of 11. I played 11 online with one of my ex-girlfriends and a couple of my friends. After about 6 months I got kind of sick of it and gave up on it like I usually do with MMOs. I just can't get into them for some reason. But I played a little bit of Part 12 and I really liked it. I think I got stuck in it somewhere and I just never picked it back up for whatever reason. I heard so many bad things of Part 13 that I owned them, never played through them because I wanted to have them in the collection so that I could have the entire Final Fantasy franchise, but I didn't really have any intention of playing through them. As sad as that sounds. And I don't really plan on playing 14 because MMO. And then Part 15 I've heard like good and bad things about. I do plan on going back and playing through them, and Part 10 is like so polarizing to so many different people. I know some people that absolutely adore it and some people that think it's like the worst thing to ever come around since like the plague. It's one of those things that I'm afraid to go and play because I don't really want to waste my time on something I'm going to dislike, but I might have to just for the greater good. And lastly is another RPG series that is the Wild Arms games. I love RPGs, I really do. I just tend to not have the time to play them. I don't like Western movies, but when you mix it with another genre, I tend to really enjoy it. Like Firefly is like a Western sci-fi show. I thought that was great. And the idea of a RPG that is also a Western sounds really, really awesome to me. But just like all the other RPGs in the series, I don't own them all. So I would love to be able to play through them if I had them all in the collection. Therefore, I could go from one end of the series to the other. I think I need maybe 2 more to complete the set, and then I'm good to go. So what do I plan on doing about all of this backlog that I've accumulated over the years of collecting? Well, the obvious answer is I need to set aside a lot of time to just sit down and play through these suckers. And I fully intend on documenting my playthroughs of these games. I'm not talking Let's Plays or anything like that. I'm thinking of doing it as like I finished this entire series. Here's my review of them as a whole. And mark my words, I will definitely do it. And it might take a little while because, like I said, I need to collect the rest of the games in the series before I start to play through it. That's just the way I roll. So you're gonna have to bear with me. This might be something that is a long-term project that might take maybe a year or more to complete. So there you go. I don't plan on tagging anyone else in this video. Because I don't know who else has been tagged, because there's been so many people that have done this topic already. So if you've watched this video, please feel free to do your own response to it. I would love to hear what series you've missed out on, but yet still want to play through. So leave all of your selections in the comments below if that's how you want to do it. And if you want to do it, like I said, a video response, feel free, tag me in it, let me know that you've done it so I can watch it. And let's get this discussion topic going. Jason started this off, and I plan on continuing it. And until next time, I am Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, signing off.